So we'll make a start. So welcome everybody. I will just share my PowerPoint and then we will get started. So this is the Gaining Leadership Skills in Discovery session. My name is Sian Davis and I'm the Volunteer Recruitment Officer here in Discovery, and most of you at some point on your volunteer journey would have met me, be it in your Start Here training or your Start Here interviews, or at some point when you were wondering, what do I do next, where do I go, and all that kind of stuff. And with me also, I have two of our student leaders within Discovery. So I don't know, Felicity, you want to introduce yourself first?
Yeah, hi, I'm Felicity. I am a project coordinator with Wellbeing Champions, and I'm also a non-portfolio trustee, which is a bit of a mouthful, but you'll understand by the end of this what all that means. And I've been with Discovery two to 3 years now. It's a while. It flies by, but I've been here for a while, and I think when the office is open again, I shall become a piece of furniture there for the foreseeable future. So she'll pass on to Ilse.
Yeah, hi guys, I'm Ilse. So I've been a volunteer for, about 3 years, because I immediately, upon starting my course, just went straight for Discovery. So I've been here for a little bit as well. I'm also the ambassador and I'm a portfolio trustee. So I'm the secretary of the trustees, and you'll hear more about that later as well.
Cool. And can I also introduce a new member of the staff team, Rebecca? I'll let Rebecca introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I am the new volunteering projects manager. It is my second week, so bear with me, I'm still learning. And I've got a small furry companion here with me today, if you can see. Try not to let her distract you, I know she's cute. Thanks, Sian.
Thanks, guys. So as soon as Rebecca came in, we all immediately got distracted by the fact that it was a cute little dog. It's one of the joys of remote working. So just to say, guys, this should be a 60-minute training session. Please use the chat box facility to engage. We all know by now Zoom etiquette, do keep your microphone on mute when you're not chatting. It's really nice to see faces. Don't feel like you have to put a photo on, but a video on, but it's just really nice for me and the other guys. I do this job because I love humans, and I have now been working remotely for 17 months. So it's I'm used to working in a very busy office and being able to see you lovely humans all the time. And now it's just this, which is, it's a joy. So, if you don't want to put your camera on, that's fine and stuff as well. Ask any questions in the chat or indicate this is a really informal session. So there are no stupid questions. Ask away. This is what it's all about, is to kind of let you guys know a little bit more about what we do and how you can get involved and all that kind of stuff. So just to say, it'd be really nice, you kind of know a little bit about us. It'd be really nice for us to know a little bit about you. So I don't know if people could say who they are, what kind of volunteering they've been doing, and what course you're studying, but also if you'll be up for saying what kind of leadership roles you're interested in, or it might be that you just have come along to find out and you've not even thought of any of the different roles. Is anybody willing to do you want to either type it in the chat or actually talk on microphone? Go on, Nat. I'm going to pick on you. Nat knew that was coming. You could tell by Nat's face. She's going to pick on me, isn't she?
Hiya, I'm Natalie. I'm a strategic marketing student. I'm doing postgrad. I come back. Been volunteering for Discovery since about March time, I think. Done a lot on the digital project, done a lot of deliveries. So I think I'm interested in the project coordinator stuff. But keen to learn a lot of things.
Brilliant, thanks, Nat. Anybody else want to talk on camera, or are you all happily putting it in the chat box?
Yeah, so Chloe says, I'm a PhD student, been volunteering with Building Blocks, Buddied Reading, and Pen Pals since around January this year, and she's interested in being a project coordinator. And then Jose, I would assume, first year computer science, January intake, and he's interested in absolutely any leadership role.
Yeah. Then we've got somebody who's completed the first year of their psychology. I'm sorry, I've got dyslexia, so my pronunciation of names is awful.
Yeah, Reva.
Rera? I'm really
sorry if we're mispronouncing your name.
Yeah.
You got that right.
Fantastic. It's my biggest thing about being on Zoom and stuff, like, because I do all the start here interviews, and because I've got dyslexia, I can't phonetically get people's names. And it's, Eleanor says, you can see in every training, I'm like, oh, please all say your names for me.
Oh, hi, Josh.
Yep, we have Josh, who's finished their aerospace engineering degree. They've been a student ambassador and various volunteering roles. But they're doing a master's in leadership and management and thought they would check this out and explore it. And we have Pippa as well, who's second year psychology student, has been volunteering with Connect, Activate Teams, supported volunteer call scheme, and is interested in becoming a project coordinator. And yeah, Reva again, and any sort of leadership role to gain experience and learn new skills, which I think is all really positive ways of looking at it. It's a good start.
Fantastic. And is that everybody? I think there's to the other guys who've not yet. Angel?
Yeah, Angel's doing an MSc in environmental biology, conservation and resource management. Thank you for doing that. She's been volunteering with Friend in Need, H. Cymru, activating Pen Pal and East, and she wants new skills. Which, well done. You're gaining new skills just by being in all those projects.
Shall we? So I think most people have kind of introduced themselves and stuff. So we'll kind of start the session, if that's all right. What I've thought, first of all, I'd ask is, she says.
Ooh, Veronica, she's a first-year zoology student. I haven't met anyone with zoology. She hasn't gotten any volunteering experience with Discovery yet, but she wants to gain new skills, so she's interested in any of the leadership roles.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I think one of the things we want to really make clear is that it doesn't matter if you've done any volunteering with Discovery before. You can step right into these roles. Like, there's lots of people who join Discovery, go through their start here training, the volunteer induction training, do a start here training interview, and then before they know it, we've basically persuaded them that they should become a project coordinator or trustee. We have quite a few students every year who said, I've never done any volunteering with you, Sian, and I'm like, come on, come and become a project coordinator and stuff. So please don't feel like, if you want to do one of these roles, don't feel like, oh, but I haven't done lots of volunteering. We have got wonderful humans like Elsa and Felicity who sound like, they go to Discovery Anonymous. My name is Elsa and I have been volunteering with Discovery and I have done over 300 hours, but we also have people who have never volunteered before and stepped straight into those roles and stuff. So yeah, it's great to have. And I think the other really good thing is it's nice to have those different perspectives, like you all bring your own unique thing and stuff. And for us, those people who have stepped into those leadership roles and haven't done lots of stuff with us bring really good fresh eyes and bring a new perspective, which is brilliant. And you're always fully supported and stuff like that in the wonderful world of Discovery, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go back to the slideshow. Can everyone see it? Oh no, it always helps if I share the screen, doesn't it? You think by now I would have looked. There we go. So one of the things I thought would be really interesting is this word leadership or being a leader is really...
You're not sharing the screen that you want to share.
Am I not?
We can see the PowerPoint, but you haven't got it, you know, like where you.
Oh, there we go. Now it's on the slide that you were actually talking about.
We're out of the PowerPoint. You know what might be, if you just sort of shared the PowerPoint and just go down the slides, down the side, rather than full screening it.
Okay.
Because
How do I
sometimes
do that?
can be a bit tricky on Zoom.
Can you all see that?
No.
You didn't share yet.
Oh, dude. My computer.
You want me to share? Because I haven't.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's great. But what I was going to say, I don't need the slide anyway. I've got it. Who needs a slide when you've got me asking you the question? Do you know? You think by now, after 18 months, we'd all be used to working like this? Just goes to show you're not. So what I thought would be quite useful to ask you guys is, what do you guys think? What do you think leadership is? And what do you think are the characteristics of leadership? So do you want to put them in the chat box?
Do you want me to do a little whiteboard or?
Yes, that'd be brilliant. Thanks, Elsa. So any ideas? When you think of a leader, it could be good or bad. But what do you think are the characteristics of a leader, or what is
people
leadership?
know how to write on the whiteboard? Has everyone had a chance to do this? Because you can. So I put in on the whiteboard, and if you go on top, I feel like you're going to have to help me because I can't remember how it looks, but it's like annotate, and then you can draw and write.
What people should see at the top is it'll say that you're viewing Ilza's screen. That'll be in green, and beside it, there'll be view options. If you click the view options for the wee chevron, it'll bring down a bunch of things, and you can click annotate. And then when you do that, a little thing will pop up, which will show you like mouse, text, draw, stamp, arrow. It's like having a painting bar, basically. And you can then add things. Let me see, I'm going to try and stamp here.
Well, shall I read them out? Yeah, we've got some coming through. But also I'll read out some of the ones that are going in the chat box.
Mm-hmm.
So people are saying that they think it's taking initiative, taking control, motivating people. We've got good at communicating, delegating, someone who can bring the team together, bring out the best qualities of people, making the team more efficient at achieving a task. We've got people saying that there's people who are a good listener and a communicator, teamwork, integral and principled. Is there any others? Motivate others was another one. Oh. Fantastic. Now, and I think those are all, and what we would say in, and what's really nice is that people haven't said, you know, so sometimes people think that leaders are the loudest people in the room, for example, or the people who are the loudest and stuff. That isn't what for us in Discovery being a leader is, or leadership is. And also the other thing is that we've all got the potential to be a leader, and we all have been in our lives, even though we probably haven't realized it. We've all taken a leadership role. We've all been a leader somewhere in our lives already. And I thought, rather than me explaining this, there is a really good TED talk, and what I want to do now is share with you all this great TED talk, which I thought would be really nice if you would all be up for giving it a watch. Now, what happens on Zoom is that it's really difficult to show films, because I don't know if anyone's done it on YouTube and stuff. It gets really distorted. So in the chat box, I have put a link to the TED talk. It's a 6-minute film about leadership. Would people be up for clicking on it and watching on their own screen? Is everybody able to do that? It's just I think from an accessibility point of view, sharing a YouTube film by share screen, and you've all watched how awful I am at technology, is not the best thing in the world. So if everyone wants to click on it, and I will just give you, it's a 6 minutes. So if you'll just watch, and we will come back together at about 2:25. So you can turn your screen off if you want to just watch it, but I think it's a great little talk about what leadership is. Cool. So I think that looks like everybody has watched it. I was just wondering, what are there any comments? What did people think about that TED talk about being a leader? Has it made you rethink being a leader? Has it made you think, oh, I've had a lollipop moment? What did you think about it?
I think it was very interesting. I thought it was very interesting too.
Yeah, you thought it was interesting, Elsa? Anybody? Did people like it? Thumbs up if you liked it. Yay! And I think for us in Discovery, that TED talk is amazing because I think it sums up how we very much feel about you guys being leaders in Discovery. It's a great way about how, you know, you can't change the world, but you can change somebody's world. Does that make sense? And sometimes that's all it takes to be a leader and stuff. Has everybody got, can people think, has anyone got a lollipop? Yeah, I'm glad it made people smile and stuff. Has people got kind of, has it made them think of a lollipop moment for them? Can anyone think? Thumbs up if you suddenly thought of a lollipop moment or they've had a lollipop moment. Elsa said she's had one. Felicity's nodding. That's nice. Yeah, we're definitely brilliant. So I think that's one of the things. So when you're applying to do any of this stuff and Discovery and stuff, think about those moments. Think about when you might not have, you know, putting your hands up and saying, hey, I'm a leader, I've got leadership skills, is quite, you're like, oh no, that feels a bit weird. But actually, when you look at it and redefine it, like from that TED talk, it's a great way of thinking about yourselves. And that's why for us in Discovery, all of you who want to become, we want to support that and give you that support and stuff, but also we've all got that potential to do it. It's not somebody else can do it. We've all got that in us, inside us. Does that make sense? Is there any questions around that? And what will happen is with some of the different roles, you'll get some training and support about how to kind of tease some of that stuff out. But I thought it was just a really nice introduction to kind of saying, anyone can be a leader. Does that make sense and stuff? And I think one of the other things I think we're really proud of in Discovery is this is a great learning environment to learn that and to make those mistakes in that kind of, hopefully, which is in a nice nurturing environment, so you can learn and make mistakes and stuff. Some of it sounds really daft, and I'm now in my 40s. Some of the biggest things about leadership I've learned is from people who are bent to being leaders, and I've learned they're not very good leaders. So sometimes that's the biggest way of learning stuff. Felicity's obviously had some of the same, not the same experience as me, but sometimes it's like what makes a good manager is sometimes having a really bad manager and you go, well, I'm definitely not going to be like that person. And it's the same with leadership. It's like you've all probably, and there's lots of smiles when I'm saying this, so lots of you might have had somebody who's meant to be your football captain or your debate captain or sports captain or somebody who's meant to be leading you all, and you're like, no. And that's sometimes the best way to live as well, is learn from other people's mistakes and learning from our own mistakes and stuff. I definitely, in some of the roles I've done, I've learned so much and about how to take that forward and stuff. And the mistakes I've made have probably been some of the biggest teaching points rather than some of the successes. And hopefully that's some of the learning that you guys will get as well. So what I thought I'd do next is talk a little bit about the different roles that we have in Discovery, but I will give you a brief overview, and then I'm going to let the guys who do these roles currently tell you a little bit more. So Elsa, can you pull up the slide about the roles in Discovery for me? So whilst, you know, I hope, and what happens very much in Discovery is, even though lots of times you can be a leader or kind of do that, have those lollipop moments when you're doing, for example, some one-on-one work within Age Cymru, or when you're supporting somebody through Connect or something, we do have 3 designated kind of named leadership roles within Discovery. And I thought I would quickly talk through them. So the first role that we have are the Discovery Ambassadors. We're recruiting for Discovery Ambassadors right now. Basically, the Discovery Ambassadors represent Discovery. They support the marketing recruitment function of the charity and also the volunteer induction programme. that role is very much ad hoc. You can dip in and out of it. There's training given, there's support given. We have a little Facebook group, we have regular meetings and stuff like that. You'd very much be working with myself. Please don't let that put you off. But you will be kind of doing stuff like the Start Here. So some of you guys might have had one of the Discovery Ambassadors take your Start Here interview and stuff like that. So that role will, if you wanted to apply from that role, and for there's some of you who are definitely master's students who are maybe disappearing at the end of September, that is something you could get involved with now as a Discovery Ambassador and continue that role over the summer until you kind of graduate. And that also will enable you to apply for your silver or your gold award, because that's one of the things about the leadership roles. You can apply for a higher education achievement record. Then we've got our project coordinators. Our project coordinators work very closely with Rebecca and basically run our 20 volunteer projects. All of our volunteer projects are student-led. That is one of the essential, really important things about Discovery. And the project coordinators lead the different projects. We are recruiting for project coordinators right now. The one thing about project coordinators is it is a regular weekly commitment. You do have to have a 1 week office hour. Lots of the projects, the volunteering projects happen every week. So you will do things like manage volunteers, do risk assessments, do budgets and stuff, and all that kind of, you learn some great skills about HR, budget setting, managing people, some great examples that when in a couple of years you go on and graduate and applying for jobs, you will have so much to talk to. There's not many young people who will go and say, well, actually, when I was at university, I managed 20 volunteers and ran a whole project. Then the final, and we are recruiting for those two roles now. The final project that we have, or the role that we have, is trustees. Now, trustees, every charity in the UK have to have a trustee board. And they are basically the people who look after and help run the charity strategically. They have strategic oversight of the charity. They have opinions about how it should move forward, say strategically, you know, this is where we think Discovery should be going. They look after HR, they look after finance. They are my boss, fundamentally. There's two of them laughing because they are also my boss, you lucky humans, you. And stuff. So one of the things as well is we recruit for trustees in October, November. So for some of you, you might think, what sometimes happens is people start as a Discovery Ambassador, kind of start dipping their toe into being a leader and then go, oh, I'm really enjoying this role, and then move on to being a trustee and kind of then say, right, I'm going to be an ambassador for a couple of years. And actually quite a lot of our guys will be an ambassador and a trustee at the same time, or a project coordinator and an ambassador at the same time. But rather than me keep talking about it, I thought I would hand over to two of our humans who have taken on some of these roles, and they could talk a little bit about what it's been like being in those roles, what roles they do, what support they've got, and that kind of stuff. Rather than me trying to tell you all about it, I thought it's much better coming from them. So I'm going to go with Felicity first, if that's all right.
Okay. So obviously I'm the project coordinator for Wellbeing Champions. I kind of didn't realize I was moving into a leadership role until I was in it. So with COVID hitting, I was taking over a lot of work and helping out both with Connect and Wellbeing Champions. So they're similar projects but different. And when it came up to have the opportunity to be a project coordinator, I was already doing an awful lot of stuff, sort of, it was kind of project coordinator-like, but without being in position. And so I decided to go ahead and do it. And so you get weekly sort of drop-in sessions with staff to support you and see if you need anything to help you with that. You also get training and some really cool fun packs that arrive once a term to kind of like reinvigorate you. We have a great Facebook group as well. So it's not as if you're out there on your own. We have a really good community of other project coordinators who you can link in with, get advice, get support, link in with staff. And it's also very flexible. So, you know, there's a real understanding about, you know, if you need to put on sort of an out of office thing on your email, there's an understanding of having that space between doing the work of project coordinator, doing university stuff, and having you time. But that doesn't mean you can't come along to some of our events, because we did Ben's Bar this year where we had games with other project coordinators, got to meet them. We had an escape room. And there's an awful lot happening. So how big or little of a commitment you give can kind of sort of depend on your time management. I find with Wellbeing Champions that if I plan quite strategically at the start of a term, I can get things kind of set up and running for the rest of the term. And then it leaves me with more time to do other things and pick up things and check if there's been any issues, and also to do trustee work. So I'm a non-portfolio trustee, which is slightly less specific than what Ilse does. And they'll be explaining that next. So I kind of, if you imagine sort of someone who like has fingers and lots of pies, I sort of hop around and like appear almost over people's shoulders and go like, hi, do you need me? No, that's okay, I'll move on to someone else. We help with a lot of the management of discovery. So as Shan said, we make a lot of decisions about staffing and other issues, or maybe sit in on some of the meetings for whenever we're interviewing new staff members. How much of a commitment varies. So for example, Food Swansea is a project. They met once a month, sort of for quite a big event, a couple of hours on a Wednesday afternoon. And you would still have your office hour sort of once a week for people to link in with you. But with Wellbeing Champions, officially, it's 2 hours a week. So I have the specific section where we're doing the project, and I have the 1 hour office hour. I occasionally add in a few extra hours here and there, but I mean, that's down to the person. And we have so many different projects that depending on how much of a commitment you can give, you'll be able to find something that, you know, meets your interests, but also meets the time management that you have to offer that. So it is very variable. It's also quite flexible. So like there's some projects that have more than one project coordinator. So if you have a good working relationship with the other project coordinator, you can sort of juggle it. So say if you're having an off day or you're busy with exams and they don't have exams, you can share the load that way. So it does depend on the project as to how much of a time commitment it is. But that's kind of the beauty of having like over 20 projects. There's variety, so you'll find something that fits you. And if there are any issues, you can link in with staff and say, this isn't working for me. I maybe need to take a step back or something like that. And it is quite flexible, very friendly, and there's all the support you could possibly want. Plus lots of opportunities to get to meet and know other project coordinators, because I know when we're online this year, we're not doing as much sort of face-to-face or in the office work that we used to be doing. So it can feel like you wouldn't be able to do that, but you can get to know other project coordinators and have seriously really, really good times online, actually. We've been doing Ben's Bar, Jackbox. We did GeoGuessr at one point, which can be really nice. And it also sometimes counts towards your hours. So, you could be doing Jackbox or GeoGuessr and count it towards your hours, which is always fun. So your self-care does count. That is an hour of volunteering, because it's volunteering for you, so you can volunteer for others. With the trustee role, I think I do more work with my project coordinator than I do with the trustee. I mean, I keep an eye on it, but I feel like the project coordinator is more of my time overall. But the trustee, I feel, has a bit more weight to it. Well, it depends on how you weight it. That's the thing. I find my volunteers, I weight maybe project coordinator more because I see them more. But with trustee, it's also very important. You do get all the training you need. So when you come into a trustee role, you'll get all the training. So don't worry if you don't know what you're doing, you'll know soon enough. And there's all the support. It's different weighting of different importance. So I spend more time per week doing the project coordinator stuff than I would doing the trustee stuff, but they're both important in their own different ways. And so I do like social media and communications and things like that. So we have subsections with trustees, so you can specialize if you want to do like health and safety, community, volunteers. So say if you're working in a particular area, say if you were doing accounting and you wanted to look at finance or funding and things like that, you could specialize into that section within the trustees. So I mean, literally, when I say there is something for everyone, there is something for everyone. So if you're just interested generally in a leadership role, but you're not quite sure, that's sort of where Shan and some of us come along and we can be all like, well, this sounds like something you would like to do, and maybe help point you in the right direction of things that are interesting. But it depends. You don't need to have experience to be a trustee. You could go straight into a trustee. I think having done project coordinator, that helped me a bit more with trustee. but it's not an essential. But it's just down to each person really as to what you feel like would suit you best, because there are different commitments and sort of different experiences. There's overlap, but I love both roles. And I will stop rambling because I could keep talking. I'll let Ilse fill in the gaps. I will just ramble about.
Yeah, Flick's already told you everything.
Yeah,
That's me
sorry.
done. Okay, goodbye, guys. No, so just to add on a little bit, I haven't been a project coordinator yet. I am an ambassador and trustee, so that you can see already a variety. You don't have to do all three. You don't have to do two. You can do one, whichever one like kind of fits more with you. With project coordinators, what she mentioned as well, I just wanted to add, because we are all in university, Discovery is very understanding of that. So if you do end up having like exams or assignments or something comes up, usually someone can step in, either your volunteers, someone who you really trust could come up, or actually that's when like a trustee would be called in. Oh, could a trustee come in and help me with this project and that type of stuff, or the ambassador. And that way we can kind of help support each other as well. Because I helped for a month last year. Yeah, I think for the Lego Club project. So I did project coordination with another project coordinator for a month, sessions at a primary school. So I was kind of managing the volunteers for that month. And then afterwards they stepped back in because then they had finished their training or whatever they were doing. And kind of that was like how I helped them at that moment. I became an ambassador actually at the start of the academic year, and it was by pure accident, pure chance. I'm doing a psychology course, so I'm a soon to be graduate in psychology. And we were chatting about volunteering, I think. And this was my moment where I thought, oh, I need to advertise Discovery. It was in my bones and I had to say it out loud in the chat. And so I wrote in and I was like, oh, this feels really good, because everybody started asking questions about Discovery and I felt like I could answer all of them. And so I told this to Kirsty, one of the other staff members. She's the supported volunteering scheme manager. And she was like, you know what, I'm going to send you to Sean because I think you could be a good ambassador. And that's kind of how I became an ambassador. It was pure chance, and it's purely just because you kind of get a passion to just like help people. And I know that Discovery is like helping the community and I see it and I want to be a part of that. So what I've mainly done as an ambassador so far is then the Start Here interviews. So I don't think I've seen any of you guys, but I've done quite a bit of those. And those are just kind of informal chats about like kind of what your experience is. Everyone here has done that. So those are pretty easy. They were quite daunting at the start because you're like, oh no, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? But you get given a Google form to go through. So we actually kind of have a cheat sheet as we go through. So you're actually really, really supported. So don't worry about that as well. And you kind of gain that confidence. It's like you hype yourself up for that moment and you become really inspirational and really good. And then you leave and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad that this person is joining our like family, because Discover really does feel like a family because of that, because of like the huge support and everyone always chipping in if needed. With ambassador things, it also includes sometimes just like being a part of like the social media with quotes. Just having your picture being plastered all over Facebook is all you need. So really, you actually don't do that much job. You just write them a sentence like, I like Discovery, and they'll plaster it all over social media, and that's your ambassador job. So sometimes it's as easy as that.
Sorry, I'm laughing because there's a couple of you who've already done quotes for me, and Nat's nodding with that as well, because Nat's had that experience in the last month. She's like, my face is everywhere over Discovery at the moment. Like, yeah, you gave me a good quote and a nice photo. I'm going to use it.
Exactly. So it can be quite an easy task depending on like what type of ambassador experience you want. Because if you don't want to talk to people and that's not your thing, then you might write little blog posts or write a quote or that type of stuff. So it can be quite varied. And as for the trustee position, so I'm a secretary trustee, so I am more of like a manager over everyone. So I make sure that all the emails go out. I make sure that everyone actually knows what to do. By the way, Felicity, remember to do your subgroup meeting this month. So yeah, Felicity mentioned quite briefly about subgroups. So yeah, there's like about 8 subgroups or something like that. So you do get to choose within being a trustee what you also do within that. So health and safety, fundraising, staff management as well. Yeah, Sean mentioned we're kind of her boss. So actually, whenever somebody gets, when we think about recruitment of staff, it goes through the trustees as well, or any changes in salaries within the charity, or if there's any issues within the project, we kind of raise those in monthly meetings within the trustee group. I then I write down minutes. That's kind of my job. Every meeting I take down notes of everything, what people say, what kind of we need to do for the next month, or just something that we need to keep track of the whole year. I make sure that everybody kind of has a job and they do something within their roles. And then so those are monthly meetings. And then there's also subgroup meetings, which are within smaller groups. So there's like 3-4 people in a subgroup from the trustee board. And those are meeting with 1 staff member and then 3 trustees or 2 trustees, depending on the subgroup. And then you kind of just chat specifically about like that aspect of discovery and make sure that everything is going well there. Say for Rebecca currently, I am in her subgroup, so I'm going to be chatting with her actually on Friday. I hope Pixie has told you. But we will just be chatting about specifically kind of the project coordinator bits. So we're going to just see like what projects we want to run next year, kind of who we need to recruit still, who's already going forward, and that type of stuff. So it's quite a different experience than just volunteering on projects.
Oh, thanks both. I'm going to open it up to the floor. I think, has anyone got any questions? I know a couple of you were asking questions you went, but have you got any questions either for Felicity or Elsa in their roles, or for me or Rebecca? Is there any questions about those different roles? Like it can be time commitment or anything like that? I'm going to ask you both a question. So what do you think you both have gained from your different roles? What do you think they've given you from personally, but also from an employability perspective, from a career perspective?
Confidence and like actual experience, because I'm psychology. People experience is kind of key for me. So that was like the biggest thing. And actually every single job that I've gotten, they always mention my volunteering. They always ask questions specifically about volunteering. They're like, we actually wanted you in this job because we saw that you were volunteering. So keep that in mind. Always like kind of actually emphasize on that volunteering part. Don't be afraid to put out in your CV as like work experience, because sometimes you put that as like other or something like that. No, that's work experience. That shows like so many skills.
Yeah. What about you?
So I kind of like gained this I know we keep talking about family and discovery, but I did kind of gain an extended family while in Swansea because I'm a PhD student. So I don't have a class of people I can go and hang out with. I am a class of 1. And so that's one of the main things I think I've got from both being a trustee and a project coordinator. Skill-wise, I think, and I'm very bad at implementing it, so like this is a skill, but it's one I'm working on, is making sure I make time for me, because like I think Shan will say this, I'm very good at being like yes to everything. And I think discovery is very good at sort of like going, hang on a second, take a minute for you. And I think that's something I like. It's a skill I'm working on. It's not a fully fleshed out skill, but the start of that skill has occurred. And I think that's something that I'll probably be taking with me forward. We do have, I think, questions in the chat.
Yep. Shall I ask you both? So for being a PC, for being a project coordinator, what is the one thing you enjoy? and one thing you find difficult. I'm going to wind that out for each of your roles. What is the one thing that you enjoy and the one thing you find difficult? So Felicity, do you want to do PC then trustee first?
Yeah, so I enjoy the variety that I get with Wellbeing Champions because we're student-led. So the topics that we're doing every week are informed by the volunteers and the students who are attending. So one week we could be doing aromatherapy on Zoom, which sounds counterintuitive, but it worked. Another week we could be doing yoga, or we could be doing origami. So that's one of the great things about it, in that it's variable. One thing I find difficult is that with it being online, outreach has been a little bit difficult, and also people have Zoom fatigue. So a lot of people do want to attend, but sometimes we've all been in Zoom all day and we just don't want another Zoom session. So it can be difficult, I think, to try and find ways to work around that when we are mostly online. So that's difficult, but I think we're improving as the year goes along, finding ways, because we did a Zoom fatigue session, how to deal with Zoom fatigue, because we knew it was such a big issue. And then with the trustees, again, I enjoy being part of a big group, getting to know other people, getting new experience. One thing I found most difficult is the fact that I'm in a subgroup with 2 Shans, and it just said Shan with a question mark. And I didn't email both Shans because it didn't say that it should have been Shan X2. So communication is key, and sometimes I know Shan is Shan, so I didn't think further than Shan. So that can be a bit difficult, sort of navigating that, just especially when you're sort of new to a role, because if you don't know absolutely everybody's in that position. So that I mean, that's not a huge difficulty, but it's more of a fun difficulty. But you'll find that there's lots of fun hiccups. They're not bad difficulties. They're just humorous in hindsight.
What about you, Elsa? What about
I was the one who passed on that email with Sean and question mark, but I did not make that list. That was Eleanor, our director. So it's all on her. She told me pass this on, and I passed it on. So
what do you enjoy about being an ambassador, and what's the one thing you maybe find difficult?
Actually seeing the people, especially since it's right now online, seeing who's going to be on the projects and seeing like what different courses they come from, because I feel like, particularly, I'm hopeful that we will be able to like open up more on Bay once things kind of calm down. You don't really see many people from like engineering courses and that type of stuff, which they genuinely could do so good for us as well, and they gain so much out of this. Any person from any course can gain something out of volunteering, and it also helps the community. So seeing actually the people who are doing things kind of like makes me more passionate about my work as well. What makes it more difficult? The ambassador thing, I don't know if there's much difficulty for me. Potentially it's just like if I am feeling down on the day or something like that, just like putting on a smile maybe. Because if you have a interview, you have to do the interview. Actually, no, maybe not to put on the smile. Sean put me in back-to-back interviews, 4 interviews. You have half an hour for an interview for 2 hours. Zoom fatigue much. So that was probably my most difficult moment, because you literally blurt out everything about the projects and everything, and you take down their information. You're like, okay, bye. And then you find the next Zoom meeting details and you go on to the next one and you blurt everything out again, listen to them and go to the next one. So that's probably something to keep in mind. Just like have 15 minutes in between or something like that, or even do 2 interviews. Yeah, great. And then have 15 minutes, just don't have them in a 2-hour slot, maybe, because then
what Elsa's trying to tell you is, if you become an ambassador and you say, Sean, I can do those 2 hours, just say, but I only want to do 2 interviews because I will put you in.
Yeah, you can be anything. You can be an ambassador and PC. You can be a PC and a trustee. You can be all 3.
Yeah. And then somebody else was asking, so with regard to the experience, you do not need any experience. That is our big thing. So, for example, all of the roles this year, with trustees, our treasurer and one of the other trustees has never volunteered with Discovery before, and they stepped straight into being a trustee in November. One of the ambassadors three of the ambassadors had never volunteered with Discovery before and became ambassadors straight away. And they said they felt a bit weird because they were going out and talking to people about why they should volunteer with Discovery. And they were like, literally, like, well, I've only just started volunteering and this is why I've joined up. And actually, that story is just as important as the story of people who've been volunteering for a while. And then Simona, for example, who led the digital media project, who a couple of you are in, has been an amazing project coordinator, had never volunteered with Discovery before, and then applied to be a project coordinator because she wanted to get some experience in digital media content and managing people creating digital media, and has been a phenomenal PC and created some great stuff, but had never done stuff before. So yeah, is there any other questions?
Oh, there's one more in the thing about referees, which I think, Shan, you're best for this.
Which application form has got a reference on them? I'm looking at, let me double check before I say.
I think it might be project coordinator. I have a vague, very vague memory of project coordinator, but
I'm looking, I don't want to say.
That is the project coordinator one that they downloaded from the website.
So let me double check that. So it shouldn't be. So I don't know where that PC one's come from, but it's definitely the old one because I literally have got the application form. And shall I share my screen so you can all see it? Elsa,
it's in the chat, so we have a copy.
Oh, there we are.
Oh, that project worker.
No, that is not the volunteer role. That was the job role.
Yeah.
So the project worker was one of our staff roles, and you do have to have references. We're talking about the volunteer roles. So for being project coordinator or an ambassador or a trustee, you do not need to have a reference and stuff. Is that okay? So that kind of leads on to next steps. So what you kind of want to do is, if any of you are interested in any of these roles, what you can do is just drop me an email to this and say, hey, Sian, I'm interested in being an ambassador, I'm interested in being a trustee, I'm interested in being a project coordinator, or I'm interested in all three, or two, or one. It's completely up to you. And then what I can do is send you, so as I said, for the Discovery ambassadors, we are recruiting now, and for project coordinators, we're recruiting now. Trustees, we won't be recruiting until November, but what I can do is put you on an interested list so that I make sure that you get sent that information in October, November. But then for ambassadors and project coordinators, you've just got to fill in an application form and stuff, and there's just some info I can send that to. Does that make sense? And the other thing I would say as well is that we've got myself, Elsa, Felicity, or Rebecca. One of the things I think I am going to answer my own question, someone's question about what I find really difficult about my role is it's really difficult to chat to you guys about this stuff. Does that make sense? Because normally in pre-COVID times, what's normal these days? So pre-COVID times, I would be in the office or I would be on Bay Campus. So I would used to sit in School of Management, and Natalie might come up and have a chat with me and say, hey, Sian, I'm thinking of becoming a project coordinator, and we'd sit and have a chat. Or somebody, Elsa might sidle up to me in the office in Discovery while I'm having and say, Sian, can I have a quick chat? And or I'm interested in being an ambassador. Can you tell me more? And I could chat to you for 5 minutes. That can still happen. It just feels a bit more formal because you have to email me and then I say, hey, shall we have a Zoom? And that is my job, guys. That is what I'm here for. So if you want to have a chat and say, hey, I'm interested in that, I'd like to know more, email me or email, and I'll ask the other guys to maybe put their emails in. So if you're interested in being a project coordinator, you can talk to maybe Rebecca, but also if you want to not talk to a staff member, you can talk to Felicity and Elsa about their experience a bit more offline, not in this on a Zoom when it's recorded stuff. That's what we're here for. That would normally naturally happen when we were in the office space. So we are trying to make that happen on Zoom. So please don't ever feel like you can't message us and ask for a chat or something like that. Does that make sense? Have any of you guys got any other questions?
Yeah, sure. So if I got you right, for those of us doing our masters, and we'll be done in September, the only role that we are fit for is the Discovery Ambassador, right?
Yeah, so you would do the Discovery Ambassador role, and that you could do that with me in July and the beginning of September and stuff like that. Because I think are you guys finishing the end of September? Yeah, so that stuff. And for some of you guys, you've done that, started to do some of that role with me already, because you've been giving me quotes and stuff like that. And then particularly, it's quite important, particularly in September, because what will happen is in September, I start feeding out to the university stories of our volunteers. Nothing recruits volunteers like volunteers. I can go into lectures and tell people, but people then say, why is my mum standing at the front of the lecture trying to tell me how good volunteering is? Nothing recruits it as well as you guys, and it's lovely to have a really nice diverse group. And and if you come from certain colleges or courses, you just talking about the impact it's had on your course, the university loves it when I have those case studies. So please, have a think about standing for those roles, and I can definitely use you in July and September and stuff. And for those of you who if you're thinking of applying for your higher education achievement record, you have to take one of these leadership roles to get your silver or gold. So for those of you who maybe for example, there's a couple of you who are master's students who will be graduating in September. If you start doing some of that leadership stuff in July, June, July and September with me and getting those hours in, you could apply for your silver or your gold award and stuff. So you can get that under your belt. With trustees and project coordinators, just because of the way those roles run, you couldn't do that and stuff. But you could always do come and do a PhD with us.
Josh wants to know about the
that's what we say to
rewards.
some of you guys. Don't believe us. No.
Sean, Josh wants to know about
Josh,
the
sorry,
gold.
Josh. So the higher education achievement record is basically, in a nutshell, is something that is put on your record, your academic record. So, for example, Elsa this year won't just get a first in her psychology degree. Fingers crossed. I believe you can. Not only is she going to get a first in her psychology degree, she's going to get this record statement that she can formally take to employers, which is called the Higher Education Achievement Record, which is recognised by employers and is across universities. There's lots of different awards. We do one, sustainability does one, employability does one, Students' Union does one. We have 3 different layers, 3 different things you can apply for. The Bronze Award, all volunteers can apply for that, and you just have to volunteer with us and do 50 hours of volunteering. The Silver and the Gold Awards are the more advanced awards, and you can only apply for those roles, those awards, if you do 75 or 100 hours of volunteering and also take a leader role. Does that make sense? So it's just a really good way of kind of saying, hey, not only did so Elsa will definitely be getting her gold award and stuff, so she can go to employers and say, I got the highest level of achievement of the Discovery Higher Education record. I'm very conscious it's a couple of minutes past 3. Is there any questions? What I thought I'd do just to finish is, I hope I've done this, I only learned this in the last 24 hours. So I've done a little poll. Elsa's laughing because she had to teach me how to do this yesterday. So people are saying, so I think that's most of you have voted. So we've got quite a few so there's a couple of you unsure. We've got about 8 of you are interested in being a project coordinator, which is brilliant. We've got about 8 of you are interested in being a Discovery Ambassador. That's brilliant. So what I would say to you all is just again, final thing is drop my email in. Has that everybody voted? Put a little thumbs up.
It says 12 out of 13.
Oh, you don't feel like you have to vote. Nothing is compulsory in Discovery, other than this volunteer induction training. Brilliant. So yeah, so that's again, as I said, after this, just drop me an email. For most of you who want to be an ambassador and for being a project coordinator, I can send you those application processes. And for those of you, just the final thing, just to say about those two roles, the ambassador stuff, that role will start in the next couple of weeks. I am on holiday for a week, so it'll probably start when I come back, but I'll start doing that in July. And then for the project coordinator roles, I'm looking at Rebecca, the closing date of the project coordinator's application is the 31st of August, but then Rebecca's, do bear with Rebecca, she's only in week 2 and has had a lot of information in the last 2 weeks. So Rebecca will get in touch with you and stuff. So you just send your application in and then Rebecca will get in touch with you. And with that role, with the project coordinators, there's some of you who specifically want to do certain projects, but what we say is maybe say that if you're interested in working with children or on the disabled adults projects or something like that. So the final quick ask is there any questions? No? Has everybody feel like they've answered, we've done what we aim to do in this session? Everyone knows a little bit more? Brilliant. Well, I would say please apply, but I'm going to leave it to Elsa and Felicity to have the final word, because we are student-led, to kind of have the final word about why people should apply. Over to you guys. I've just landed this one on them. So you two are going to have the final word. Right.
I'm still in shock nobody wanted to be a trustee.
It's a daunting thing because you're like legally bound in the position.
It is, but it's like it's still very much a discovery type thing. Like you'll have as much fun in that role as you will in other ones. But no, I think it's really worth applying because like there is literally something for everyone. You've got all the support you could possibly want. Shan appears to be frozen. Sorry, Shan just looks like you're having
a great freeze frame, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Okay, well, yeah, that Shan being frozen is an exact reason why you should join, because like it's great fun. It's great fun. There's lots of opportunities, and it's great for your CV. There's the Hero Award, but I mean, there's just there's not any reasons not to apply. There's more reasons. Like there's hundreds of reasons to apply.
Yeah, it's volunteering. So realistically, you do as much as you want to do. So even if you go from this session thinking, I don't want to do any of these 3, just continue volunteering, dip your toe in other projects, see what you want. And maybe if you're not in your final year, you can do that next year or start up from that half a year or something like that. It doesn't have to be like immediately now after this call, you have to do this. You will be able to pick it up later on. And just do it. It's great.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, guys, because my Zoom is telling me it's not responding. No?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yay! You don't get rid of me. It's amazing. So I would like to say thanks for coming, guys, and get in touch if you want any more information. Thanks all. Bye-bye.